Bitcoin is back above $62,000. It's actually almost 63,000. So that is a massive change compared to where we were just a week ago when we were closing in at almost 50,000. Okay, so right now it is looking potentially bullish. It is looking like potentially the low is in for Q3, and a lot of the altcoins are also showing bullish signals on the daily chart. So in this video, I want to run you through all of that and show you why right now is potentially still one of the best times to get involved with crypto if we get a continuation into the end of the year or maybe even into 2025, which is still completely a possibility. So with that out the way, let's dive straight into the charts. By the way, if you're not yet subscribed, subscribe to my channel down below, follow my page, that way you get all of these updates. I do at least one update a week, sometimes more than that. So let's start out by looking at Bitcoin. You can see here it's currently trading at $62,800. And what's important to note here is that this green candle that we just had, it closed in a big green way here. So it was looking like we were going down here all the way. We had a couple of red candles and it was looking kind of scary at this point. But what I've been saying is this is the 50-week moving average. As long as we are above the 50-week moving average, the higher time frame trend is still bullish. Now, we could have gone down to touch it. That would have been kind of the worst case line in the sand scenario. But the fact that we didn't even do that is probably a bullish sign. So what we have now is a potential low and a reversal. We got this green weekly candle here. If this week closes green also, then it's very possible we see all-time highs and beyond. But there are a couple of criteria. Now, first, I just want to remind you that if we look at the Bitcoin monthly returns since 2013, every single time there was a red June, since 2013, it's been followed by a green July. You can see here, red June, green July, red June, green July, red June, green July, red June, green July, red June, green July. We had a red June now in 2024, and we are very, very close to turning into green again. Now that would basically mean a close above $63,000 for the month. There's still just over 2 weeks left, so that becomes a possibility. And that also just helps add to the bullish confluence for potentially a low being in and for us continuing higher, maybe even for the rest of the year. Now, going back to this chart, we are here at the weekly chart. The low was set, as you can see over here, 53,550. And so far we have bounced back pretty hard from there. Now, while this is looking promising, we are not yet completely in the clear. What I want to see, turning this to a 3-day chart, is I want to see us reclaim this 3-day 50 moving average, which is currently sitting at about $64,600. If we can reclaim that with 2 consecutive closes above, then it becomes very, very likely that we are back to full-blown bull market and we are probably going to see new all-time highs. You can see this very clearly what happened previously once we reclaimed this 3-day 50 moving averages. Here in January of 2023, when we reclaimed it, it went from 19,000 all the way to 31,000. Then we had a bit of a drop below. We reclaimed it again in October of 2023 and it went from 28,000 to 74,000. So if we can reclaim it now at 64.6, then I think we're going to new all-time highs. I think it's really that simple. You can also see what happened here previously in 2021. Once it reclaimed it, it went from 44 to 69,000. So this is just a very good high time frame indicator that while we're looking bullish for now, ideally we just want to reclaim this for that confirmation that makes it highly, highly likely that we are going to continue higher. I personally do think that we are going to continue higher anyways, but to get that confirmation is just a better sign. Now, changing the chart to the 4-hourly chart, I thought this was interesting and I wanted to bring it to your attention also because it's always a very good indicator, which is basically the bearish or bullish divergences on 4-hour time frames and beyond. Okay, so also on the daily, on the weekly, the higher the time frame, the more it's worth paying attention to. But 4-hourly is generally good enough for a multi-week trend or reversal. So what you can see over here, this is going back all the way to June of 2023. And you can see over here, there was only 2 previous other instances of this bullish RSI divergence on the 4-hour. And we had it again. So looking here, what this means is basically the price makes a lower low, but the standard default RSI indicator makes a higher low. And this is called a divergence, meaning that the RSI is basically doing the opposite of what the price action is doing. And this often signals a potential reversal that is coming. And as we saw here, it went from 24, almost 25,000 to basically 32,000. Then the second time it happened, you can see here, lower low in price, higher low on the RSI. You can see from this point in time, it went from almost 25,000 and then it basically ran all the way up to 74,000. So those were the only two times in the past year that we had these bull divergences from being deep in the oversold conditions, okay? And we just had one recently with this drop to 54,000, where you can see the price made a lower low, but the RSI didn't confirm that. It made a higher low, and we got that bullish divergence. And since then, we've gone basically from 54,000 to almost 63,000 so far. And if this continues to play out, there is potential for this to run all the way back to the highs and even to new all-time highs. And this bullish RSI divergence is always something to pay attention to, in combination with other things. We had the fear and greed meter being at extreme fear, which is usually a sign to buy. The opposite, of course, when things are getting euphoric, when we see extreme greed. We saw that in March, extreme greed, and it was a top. In the same way, you can also start to see we had a bearish RSI divergence here on the 4-hourly. You can see over here, as that was going into the highs, we had an RSI divergence here, and that indeed marked the top. So these divergences, they're pretty good, pretty reliable. It's not the be-all, end-all, but they're worth paying attention to. And in combination with other metrics and data, it can really help you pinpoint major reversal signs and huge moves. This went from 74 to 54. That's a $20,000 move. And if this goes back up, it's already an $8,000 move at this point in time. It could end up being much more. Okay, so now that I spoke about those RSI divergences, I want to bring your attention to altcoins, because a lot of these altcoins, they obviously sold off massively over this past 3-month period. Since March, since April, Bitcoin sold off about 25%, but a lot of these altcoins sold off 50, 60, 70% or even more than that. So they went a lot lower, and obviously if you bought the top, that is unpleasant. Fortunately, if you're holding spot, you can't get liquidated. If you bought on leverage at the top, obviously you got liquidated. So that's not a smart thing. But right now, we have seen these massive sell-offs over here, and we are starting to see daily bull divergences. And as I just showed you on Bitcoin, it works the same on altcoins. And especially on the daily chart, the higher the time frame, the larger the move that you can expect from it. So on a 4-hour time frame, yes, we can expect a few weeks maybe from that. But on a daily time frame, we could expect even months of potential reversal. And as you can see here, I'm just taking a random example of CRO. I'll show you some other charts in a second. But you can see here what's been happening. So we had this massive sell-off that you could say maybe is even forming some sort of descending wedge over here. But the sell-off was pretty big. You can see it was a 58% sell-off. Now, what we also have here is that the RSI is making a higher low while the price made a lower low. And this, my friends, is a bullish RSI divergence. And when that happens, we can see a massive upside here, continuation if we get this breakout. And it is looking like that is setting up. If Bitcoin can reclaim this 3-day 50 moving average that I talked about, just let's call it 65,000. If we get above there, and Bitcoin continues to new all-time highs, we are going to see altcoins follow. We are still perfectly within a window where in the previous Bitcoin cycle in 2021, most altcoins only really started to pump about 7 to 10 months after the halving. We had the halving in April, so 7 months after that would be right about somewhere in November or December for the start of things, and potentially all the way into Q1 or Q2 of 2025 if this repeats one more time. So we are setting up in such a way that, number one, we are in the time window between that halving, where we're only 3 months after the halving. Based on previous cycles, we still have 6 to 12 months where everything could absolutely blow up. This is usually the best time for the crypto bull markets. Then number two is we have had a big correction since March, where we've wiped out all the euphoria, everyone that was FOMOing in, everyone that was greedy, all the overbought conditions, the technical indicators, all of that has been wiped clean, and we got to completely oversold conditions with bullish divergences on the RSI. Everything is looking really, really promising. We have a potential, the Ethereum ETFs, which can start trading anytime within the next couple of weeks, which could also be a bullish catalyst. So overall, this is looking very promising in my opinion. We look at other charts, and you can do this yourself. You can see what happened previously. So for example, here's another one, BYBIT. You can see a very strong bullish divergence from deep oversold RSI over here. Over the period of basically a month, we've created this bullish RSI divergence. You can see what happened the last time when this happened here in September 2023, where BYBIT basically did a 4x after that divergence. Okay, so we're setting up to a point where a lot of these divergences are happening on different charts. Combined with all the factors that I just mentioned, this is looking like a very good risk reward play to be able to position yourself for a 2, 3, 4, 5x, or maybe even more on a lot of coins. And if the bull comes back in this way, while these coins maybe do a 2 to 5x, maybe more, there's probably going to be a lot of coins, whatever that new narrative is. Maybe it's going to go back to meme coins, maybe it's something else, where we're going to see 20x, 50x, 100x moves. So now is still the time to really pay attention, especially since we saw a lot of fear and very negative sentiment in the markets over the last couple of weeks, where people were saying, hey, it's game over, crypto sucks, people lost money, people were quitting the markets, etc., etc. Now we are in that position where we could see massive upside ahead. You can see if you go through these charts yourself, just load up any random altcoin chart and go through them. This is the daily chart. You can see here fetch.ai, bullish divergence on the RSI, and there's room for a lot of upside. You can see that they sold off quite a bit. So even this is sold off 70% over the last couple of months. So that's a big sell-off and a big discount. Much better time to buy it now than it was several weeks ago. And with these bullish RSI divergences, we are just waiting for that breakout. Now, I don't think it comes right away, but it can happen over the next few weeks. My idea is still a bottom in Q3. We might see this bottom already. It might be in July. And then August, September, October, we start to see things heat up in the same way like they did last year. You can see over here, around about October, things started to move. So maybe it happens a little bit earlier this year, but maybe also around October this year. But the potential upside is massive here. Even something like Link, it made lower lows over here, but higher lows on the RSI. And you can see that's just a bullish divergence that very often results in at least a bounce, if not a complete trend reversal, and much higher over the coming weeks and months. So guys, overall, I'm feeling very, very bullish. We do want that reclaim of 65,000 of the 3-day 50 moving average for the confirmation of the bullish case. But in my opinion, even without that, right now as I'm making this video, I think a lot of these charts are setting up for more upside in the coming weeks and months, and potentially a complete continuation of this bull trend that we've seen over the last year. We had a multi-month correction now, which puts us in a good position for potential continuation, maybe until the end of the year, maybe even well into 2025. So for the next 6 to 12 months, and that would make now the best time to pay attention, to position yourself, to get involved, to dollar cost average. And if you want to learn more about crypto, if you want to know about how to structure your portfolio, when to buy, when to sell, how to read charts, I'm reopening my VIP membership with all my courses, all my training, my ongoing updates, my access to Discord with over 2,800 traders and investors around the world, direct access to me. All of that is included. I'm opening for a couple of weeks only because I believe now, as I've explained in this video, is the best time to do so and still have that potential upside from a risk reward point of view. So if you want those details, if you want to know what's included and you want to sign up risk-free for 60 days, come and check it out. The link is in the description down below. All the details are there and you'll be able to sign up if you want to join us. For the rest, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.